Welcome to the Pop Filler Podcast. My name's Philip. I'll get to the mailbag in a moment, but I want to let you know that today is going to be a little different. Every so often we have mood episodes, where one overarching mood lightly drapes itself over each segment. This week's guiding mood is slightly irked. Yeah, some of you may recognize that sound. It's Clark the Roomba, and he may or may not be the sponsor of today's mood, but we'll get to that in a little bit. As promised, let's first check the mailbag. Jake N. writes, in a recent episode you mentioned you've never seen an episode of Corner Shark. How is that possible? I thought there was basically universal agreement that it's essential viewing. Struggling to see how I can respect any of your opinions with huge gaps like this in your viewing history. Hey Jake, thanks for expressing yourself in such a thoughtful way. Here's basically all I have to say about this type of comment or question in general. You have no idea how easy it is to not watch something. Not watching a show is the simplest thing in the world to do, and sometimes it feels good to say no to something, Jake. Besides, that show looks stupid, and more importantly, I don't feel like watching it. I see what you're trying to do there, Clark. Trying to agree to get back on my good side. It's a little forced. Alright, that's enough mailbag. I'd like to talk about something I'm getting kind of tired of. People always dropping the butterfly effect into their conversations. I just don't think it's that impressive. Yeah, when something happens, then something else happens. It should just be the things happen effect. Someone cuts an onion and they get a divorce. Someone puts a new battery in their hearing aid, and lightning strikes someone on a golf course, and then they try to sue the country club. You won't win that one, by the way. Or, yeah, a butterfly flaps its wings and causes an earthquake or whatever. We get it. Actions have consequences. Right, Clark? We'll get to you in a minute. First, we need to talk about Ronaldo. Ronaldo lives in a suburban apartment complex and drives a small sedan. At the time of signing his apartment lease, which was almost 11 months ago, he had recently received a raise, so he decided to splurge on a covered parking spot at the complex. During the spring, Ronaldo's car got a dusting of pollen just like everyone else, but he noticed that it wasn't quite as bad as his neighbors who didn't have a covered spot. When the summer came, he was grateful to have a little extra shade every time he got in his car in the middle of the day. It was hot to be sure, but it could be worse, Ronaldo always thought to himself. Eventually the winter came, and along with it, wintry mixes, sleet, ice, and snow. Ronaldo would walk by his neighbors parked out in the open, oftentimes scraping the previous night's ice and snow off their windshields. He felt a little pity for them. He also felt a little self-satisfaction, though he tried not to, since it had only been a year ago that he lived in a different apartment complex in which he didn't have a covered spot, and there was a little sun damage on the hood of Ronaldo's car to remind him of that fact. He didn't mind seeing it, though. You see, Ronaldo was saving up for a new car. Having paid off his current ride over 4 years ago, he had decided 3 years ago to commit himself to setting aside a little money each month for whenever he was ready to get another car, or God forbid when something happened to this car and he would need to get another one for his commute. So that sun damage on the hood served as even more motivation to stay disciplined and keep saving. Congrats, Ronaldo, you're motivated by something. Alright, Clark, your turn. Let me fill in our listeners on Clark's recent run-ins, so to speak. So I was wrapping up some work things at work a couple of days ago, and I got a call from my wife, Marie. She asked how much longer I was going to be. I said I wasn't sure, and she told me the reason she was asking was because she and our dog Rhoda were stuck out in the backyard without the means to get back into the house. See, they had gone outside by way of a sliding glass door in the back of our home. A sliding door that has a security bar that sits on the floor that we slide in and out of the way when we need to unlock and open the door. So the security bar was moved away from the door was unlocked and slid open, and then once Marie and Rhoda were outside, the door was slid closed again, but still unlocked. What they weren't counting on was Clark here, pushing the security bar back into place during his evening vacuuming rounds, thus preventing Marie from sliding the door back open. Now, we do have a system for letting ourselves back into the house if we get locked out, but let's just say that system wasn't working that day. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't trust any of you with certain secrets. Anyway, I apologized to Marie over the phone, told her I was about to head home so we could all get inside the house, and I asked if she and Rhoda were okay, and she said, yeah, we've got a hose, so at least I knew they wouldn't go thirsty. When I got home and we all got back in the house, there was little Clark, cheerily vacuuming away in the kitchen. Clark, are you some sort of sociopath? Do you have any regard for our safety? Or do you only care about vacuuming dog hair, dust, and lint? I appreciate your hard work, but not at the expense of keeping us out of our own home. Yeah, okay. Alright, well, we've got to wrap this up. Time for household tips. For anyone who has a dishwasher, they've surely got their own system of how they like to load it. I'm not here to tell you your way isn't the right way, because you're already too smug about your system and aren't interested in changing on that front. But I would like to give you some advice regarding something that seems obvious, but I think it's easy to get complacent about. When you've propped up a pot or pan in the dishwasher, make sure it's not in a precarious position that allows for too much shifting. If it shifts near a more delicate item, it could cause damage or even break other items in the dishwasher. For instance, let's say you've got a 3-quart pot propped up at an angle on the bottom rack next to a Pilsner glass that's too tall to fit in the top rack. If that pot moves and collapses, it could ram into that Pilsner glass and break it. Yes, Clark, I know that's what happened to me. Well, that wasn't necessary. The glass was still all in the dishwasher, and we got it up pretty easily. I don't know if you could handle shards of glass like that. Luckily, we didn't have to test your limits. Well, Clark, I don't want you to get hurt. Look, just because I'm a little upset with you doesn't mean I stop caring about you. We're family. Sometimes working through our feelings takes time. You're right, we should talk about it more. We will. Hey, how about I drop some grains of rice for you? Would you like to pick those up? I know you like the way they rattle. Alright, here you go, Clark. Alright, that'll do it for another pop filler. Thanks for listening, and remember, you'll be fine.